Hey folks, welcome to Katie Phillips Scrapbook Designs. I'm Katie and this is my little scrappy area. And today, in this video, we're going to work on page number 5 in the Garden and Books mini album. For this album, we're using the Garden and Books collection by P13. So I've already got most of the pieces cut. We have a base page, and the base page is 5 1/4 inches wide by 6 1/4 inches tall. And we've got a, so I'm going to need to cut that one because it's only 5 inches wide. No, we've got a flap that is 5 inches wide. That's the flap, 5 inches wide by 6 1/4 inches tall. And we've got a couple of pockets that are going to go on the inside. These pockets are 5 1/2 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And we have a couple of folios. The folios are 5 1/2 inches tall by 8 1/2 inches wide. We're going to score those halfway at the 4 1/4 inch mark. And we've got a couple of photo mat inserts. These are 4 inches wide by 5 inches tall. So let's go ahead and start scoring and inking the edges of the base pieces. Okay, for the pockets, I'm going to make the first score line at 1/2 inch, rotate 90 degrees, score another 1/2 inch. And I'm going to rotate back, and I'm going to fold this side under, and I'm going to score at 4 1/2 inches. And the reason for that is, even though this is 5 1/2 inches wide, just the act of scoring on this side altered this enough that if I had scored at 5 inches, the score line would have been a little bit further over here, and the total pocket width would have been less than the 4 1/2 inches that I'm going for. And I'm going to repeat that for the second pocket. For the flap, this is the 5 inch by 6 1/4 piece. I'm going to score this at 4 1/2 inches. And for the base page, this one is 5 1/4 by 6 1/4. I'm going to score at 4 1/2 and 5 3/4. Folios, I'm going to score at 4 1/4. And let's get everything inked up. we start inking the pockets, I want to add double-sided tape. And I'm going to add it to the bumpy side near the outer edge. For most of the other pieces, I've inked both sides all the way around the edges. Just because, with the exception of the inside of some of the tabs, I don't know what's going to end up being visible. I'm going to cut straight across. I'm going to grab the longer scissors because I think I can get a straighter cut over a long distance with these. Burnish that down and get it, not only get a good crisp fold right there, but it's also burnishing the tape down, making sure I've got good contact all the way around on the tape. And now I'm going to focus on the correct side of the pocket here, Katie. We want to make sure we're focused on the outside of the pocket because the inside is not going to be visible, with the exception of just part of the inside of those tabs. So all those pieces are inked. Now I need to ink the base mats for the pieces that the pockets are going to mount onto. And the measurements for these, it's going to be double matted, and this mat is 4 3/8 inches wide by 4 3/8, 4 1/4, sorry, 4 1/4 inches wide by 4 inches tall, and this is 4 3/8 by 6 1/8. Should be 6 1/8. Yep, 6 1/8. So I'm going to ink the edges, and I'm going to assemble one of these pockets on camera, and then I'll assemble the other one off camera because it's just going to be the exact same process. And I'm not focused on getting both sides of this mat inked because only one side is going to be visible, so I'm focused on the side that does not have a double-sided tape on it. I'm going to make sure I've got my letters right side up. Actually, I'm going to flip them over because I come down here and eyeball the center here. Finish all that down. And you know what? Before I even attach this, I want to attach the mat to the pocket. So this is the mat for the pocket. And, well, it's the outer mat anyway, and it is 4 3/8 inches wide by 2 3/8 inches tall. And this is the second mat, and it is 4 1/4 by 2 1/4. So again, we're going to ink the outside. We're not going to worry about the side that's got double-sided tape on it because that's not going to be visible. I find it easiest to have the long side closest to me and eyeball it and try to watch opposite corners if possible, just to make sure that those have plenty of room, and then generally the rest of it settles in place on its own. And when you're looking at just a 1/8 inch difference between mat sizes, that means that your gaps are only 1/16 of an inch all the way around. That is just not very much. Okay, now I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to pull this mat down pretty much to the score line here. I'm going to pull this double-sided tape off and this double-sided tape off, and I'm within the score lines on both sides. Tape backing up here and on the side tabs. And now I'm going to repeat this for the other pocket. All right, we are just about done with. Oh wait, let's see, we're about halfway there. Right. So this is the one that's going to go on the left, and the reason I say this is because there is a little bit of continuity between the pattern paper on the pockets. And because this is a pocket, I am going to add some glue to the back here. And I'm positioning the pocket right up against the score line on the tab. This isn't the base page, this is the flap. And I think what I want to do for the closure on this one, you could do a magnet. If you do a magnet, then you're going to want to put the magnet down in between probably this mat and the second mat, larger mat back here, and put another magnet behind the pattern paper here. I think I want to do a ribbon closure. And instead of doing the same ribbon that I did for the other page, I'm going to do roughly 3 times the height. I'm going to go in a different direction entirely. I'm also going to cut this ribbon in half, and I'm going to position half of it at the bottom and the other half at the top. Again, I'm going to grab glue. Again, I'm going to come up right up to the score line with the pocket. Oh crap, you know what I just did? I can't believe I did it again. Okay. Let me add some glue to this tab here, and we're just gonna slide it underneath. I did this in the last one too. I think we've got this mat for the outside, so I'm going to ink this up and get it applied to the outside. I don't know about y'all, but by the time I get to the end of a mini album, my craft area is just a pile of release paper. And I'm not expecting to have a whole lot of weight on the outside cover just because there's a little bit going on the facing page. So this is probably going to be pretty simple. If I embellish it, it's probably going to be pretty flat embellishment, pretty light, pretty minor. Now we're going to work on the inserts. This first insert is pretty basic. We've got very similar to the insert that we did inside the cover. We're going to do a little bit of paper piecing all the way around. I'm going to ink the edges of the outer mat, and this is a 3x4 cut apart that I trimmed down just a little bit. It's actually now more like 2 7/8. But I'm not going to worry about inking the edges of these smaller pieces. The smaller pieces are, this one is 1/2 inch. I think they're all 1/2 inch, and ones on the side are 4 inches long, and the ones on the top are also 4 inches. So they're all 1/2 inch by 4 inches. I'm going to add double-sided tape to the back here just so that I don't have to. We're going to minimize the amount of burnishing that needs to be done when the mat is fully assembled with pattern paper. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to start at the top. And I'm going to use glue because I'm going to need to slide some of this around. So I've got just a very narrow band of pink up at the top, and I'm going to come down the left side. And I'm going to align it with the left edge of the first piece that I laid down and put about a 1/16 of an inch gap. Actually, I can make a slightly bigger gap. That's what I'm going to do. Well, it is starting to rip up the pattern paper, so I'm going to glue that back down. And we're going to repeat that slightly differently for the next folio. All right, the last two things to do for this page are the final two inserts. And one of them is a simple insert, or simple photo mat. Well, it's a double matted photo mat, but it's still simple. And one really good reason for double matting, at least for the album that I'm working on, is that the craft paper that I'm working with is 65 pound. I don't have 110 pound craft cardstock. Yeah, if you have 110 pound, then it's probably strong enough, stiff enough. This one is not going to be quite as simple. First, I'm going to add, I probably ought to give you the dimensions of that. That would be good, huh? Okay, so I gave you the dimensions of the craft cardstock earlier. The pink mats are 3 7/8 by 4 7/8, and the pattern cardstock here was 4 3/4 by 3 3/4. So this one is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 inches wide by 4 inches tall. This piece, I think it's an inch tall. Yeah, it's an inch tall by 3 3/4 inches wide. And all of these pieces have been inked. And there is a full 1/4 inch difference in the size between this mat and the craft cardstock, so a little easier to get it arranged. So the craft cardstock is 1/4 of an inch tall, or I'm sorry, 3/4 of an inch tall by 3 3/4 of an inch wide. And it's going to be a tuck spot, so I'm only going to glue it down on 3 sides. little tuck spot right there. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos about mini albums. And if you have any questions, leave me a comment in the comment section down below, and I will have links to all the materials that you can find online in the description box down below. See you guys next time. Bye.